Shalom, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Watchmen of the Faith Ministries. My name is Kasada Bar, and today's topic is Israel is a community. All right. The reason why I wanted to bring this out because I see that there's a lot of misunderstanding within inside of the nation of Israel. We're not understanding that this is a community thing, and we must work together as a unit to make sure that this message is gotten across amongst the four corners of the earth that the Messiah died for the nation of Israel. And there's a disconnect with the nation of Israel and the Messiah, and this can also be shown in our everyday lives between one another, where there's a disconnect between brotherhood, there's a disconnect between man and woman, so the whole thing is in disarray. And what we want to do is bring things back in its rightful order, because just like the scriptures tell us in the book of Matthew, as it is in heaven, so shall it be done here on earth. We're talking about unity. And what I want to do first is go to the book of Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha and bring out some scriptures that I think will be very beneficial to us in helping us understand the scriptures a whole lot better, and for us to understand that this is about a nation. This is about a community. The sin of one is the sin of all. That's how serious this thing is. And I'm going to say it again. We are responsible for one another. The sin of one is the sin of all. That's the reason why I brought out earlier when I first started my ministry is that, am I my brother's keeper? That's a very important topic. Am I my brother's keeper? Again, because we're responsible for one another. But again, let's go ahead into the scriptures here so we can edify everything that I'm talking about here. In three things I was beautified and stood up beautiful, both before the Most High and men. The unity of brethren. Okay, that's very important. The unity of brethren. When getting this message across to the four corners of the earth, because the nations are waiting for the true sons, the true disciples, the true bride to stand up and show forth the glory of the Messiah in the world. That's our responsibility as Israelites. This is the reason why the scripture says that we are set apart people. We are a set apart people so that we can show forth the praises of the Messiah in the world. That's the reason why we took on the name of the groom. And what is the name of the Messiah? His name is Yeshua or Yahushai in tones. And we were named after the Father, after the Son, the Messiah, Yasha'Allah. Okay, so we bear the name of our husband, Yasha'Allah. Now, the unity of brethren, the love of neighbors, a man and a wife that agree together. That is so, so important that we come back into Torah. So whenever there's a disagreement, there's something that we don't understand, we must always go back to the Torah. The Torah is the instructions. The Torah sets everything back in focus whenever there's disorder. And what's happening now is that our people don't want to go back to the laws, statutes, and commandments, or the instructions to set everything back in order, because everything now turns personal. And again, this is about reasoning. It's not about compromising. No man or no woman should compromise Torah. You should reason, because the word reason and compromise are two totally different things. So we're talking about unity, and Israel is a community. Let's go to another scripture. Let's go to Romans 12 and 10 to bring out some more edification that Israel is a community. Romans, the 10th chapter, the 12th chapter, the 10th verse. It says, be kindly affectionate one to another with brotherly love, in honor, preferring one another. That's a very powerful statement. I'm going to read it again. It says, be kindly affectionate one to another with brotherly love, in honor, preferring one another. That is so, so important. The reason why things are out of control now is because there's no love. There's no affection. Just like the scriptures tell us, in the last days, men should become lovers of their own selves. There's no love. There's no unity. But what we have to do, with us understanding the laws, statutes, and the commandments, the Torah, we know that the only way out of this last exile here is that we come back into covenant relationship with the Messiah. And the way that this is manifested is when we communicate or commune with one another, because people are watching us. It's very important that we show forth the praises and the understanding in our walk, so that the whole world will say, listen, you know what? I want to follow that brother and I want to follow that sister. That's what the whole thing is about. It's about showing forth the praises and the glory of the Messiah in the world. Very simple. Now let's go about some more scriptures. We're going to go to Ezekiel, the 3rd chapter, the 18th verse. And again, this is about Israel as a community. Because like I brought out earlier in Ezekiel, the 4th chapter, the 4th verse, this thing is so much about a community. We had Ezekiel bearing the iniquity of both houses, northern and southern kingdom. Very, very important for us to understand that. Because a righteous person can atone for the sins of an individual or a nation. And this is what happened in Ezekiel, the 4th chapter, the 4th verse. Very important. Ezekiel, the 3rd chapter, the 18th verse. We're going to go right into it and bringing out some clarity and point out some of the things that's wrong in the nation of Israel. When I, which is the Messiah, your husband, when I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou goest and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked ways to save his life, the same wicked man should die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thine hand. That's very, very important. I'm going to read it again. When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, because he's transgressing the laws, statutes, and commandments. And thou, who's the thou? The thou is the watchman. The Messiah is setting up watchmen now, and we're watching and we're fishing for the nation of Israel. So when we go out to minister, what we're doing is that we're telling our people that you're transgressing the laws, statutes, and commandments. We're telling our people that this is about a community. And we must think on a community level. We must think on a culture level. We must understand that we must come back into covenant relationship. And our job is to warn the wicked if that they don't return from their wicked ways, and if they don't go back into following the laws, statutes, commandments, and it's your job to fish and do that. If you don't do it, what's going to happen now is that the Messiah is going to require the blood, okay, of that individual is on your hands. Because this is the role, this is the responsibility that you took on as being a watchman, okay, for the Messiah. When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, you don't warn him, you don't let the person know that they're transgressing the law, statutes, commandments. This is what's in for you. Because you said that, listen, I will stand up against the workers of iniquity and bring back, okay, the understanding of the laws, statutes, and commandments. Just like a word that I like to use, the word is shamar. The word shamar is a Hebrew word which means protect. What am I doing? My job is to protect the laws, statutes, and commandments. And anybody that I see that's breaking the laws, statutes, and commandments, my job is to now say, listen, you know what? You're in error. What we need to do is go back to the script. Let's go back into the instructions and find out what's going on so we can get that person or that individual back on the right path again. Nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked ways to save his life. The same wicked man shall die in his iniquity. And iniquity is transgression of the law. That's sin. But his blood will I require at thine hand. Because we are supposed to stand up for our people. We're supposed to be those righteous people bearing the iniquity of our people. When I say bear the iniquity, what we're doing now is that we're warning our people that they need to come back into covenant relationship with the Messiah. Okay, let's go to Ezekiel 9 and 4. Bring us some more edification here about Israel as a community. And the Messiah said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. So we're talking about amongst our own people. We're going to set a mark, okay, upon the foreheads of all of those that cry about all of the abominations that's been done in the nation of Israel. When it says the word sigh, what we're doing now, we're prophesying. We're saying, listen, you know what? The things that you're doing doesn't, exist or it's not meshing with the law, statutes, and commandments. What you're doing now is that you're following the ways of the heathen. And what we're doing now is that we're crying for all of the abominations that's been done amongst our people. And set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh, and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. Fifth verse. And he said, and to the others he said in my hearing, go you after him through the city, and smite. Let not your eye spare, neither have you pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women. But come not near any man among whom is the mark. What is the mark? The mark are the ones that's following the laws, statutes, and commandments, that's prophesying against all of the abominations that's being done in Israel. Because this is a collective community thing. Our job is to make sure that the community is intact. All right? That's very important. It is our responsibility to walk in the ways of the laws, statutes, and commandments. And remember, this is about a community. That's what Jeremiah did. That's what Ezekiel did. That's what Hosea did. That's what all of the prophets did. All of the prophets understood that this was about a community, and that the sin of one was the sin of all. When Southern Kingdom went under the Babylonian captivity, okay, for 70 years, Jeremiah and Ezekiel, Meshach, Shadrach, Abednego, and Daniel, these were righteous brothers. They followed the laws, statutes, and commandments. But they went into captivity along with the rest of Israel. What does that mean? That means that this is a community thing. This is about we being responsible for one another. All right? There's no individualism here. This is about us coming together, reuniting, and being the people that we need to be, or that we should be, according to the laws, statutes, and commandments. Because there was a reason why we have to understand this. The Messiah chose the nation of Israel. Ask yourself, why did the Messiah choose you, and what is your role as a wife in betraying the laws, statutes, and commandments? No other nation should be able to look at you and see blemishes, because you're representing the Messiah. If you're not representing the Messiah, you have no right to bear the name Yahshua. You can only bear the name if you're following the laws, statutes, and commandments. Let's go to Ezekiel, the 14th chapter, the 12th verse. Bring out some more edification here. And make sure that we have a good understanding on this here. This is Ezekiel, the 14th chapter, the 12th verse. And I'm going to read the 12 and 13. The word of your husband came again to me, which is Ezekiel saying, Son of man. So we see that Ezekiel is called Son of Man, or Adam. When the land sinneth against me, sinneth against the Messiah, by trespassing grievously, then will I stretch out my hand upon it, and will break the staff of the bread thereof, and will send famine upon it, and will cut off man and beast from it. So we see that this happened. This lets us know that collectively, as a people, we are not in covenant relationship with the Messiah. The nation of Israel is called a whore. A whore means that she's not following Torah. The word whore is a big word. It doesn't mean just because you're sleeping with somebody else. Whenever you're transgressing the law, you're following idolatry. And that's a very big thing I'm going to get into a little bit later. Because sin is wickedness. It's witchcraft. So you're committing adultery by not following the laws, statutes, and commandments. So there's no compromising here. We can reason together like I made earlier, but there's no compromising. We have to come back into the laws, statutes, and commandments, because the Messiah is letting us know that right now at this particular point in time today, we are not in covenant relationship with the Messiah. We're not a community. There's still the split between Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom. And at this late stage of the game, not everybody is still on the same page. And we understand now also at the same time that only a remnant of our people is going to be able to come to the full understanding of what this whole thing is talking about. Okay, with that, I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to continue on in part 2, that Israel is a community. And with that, I say shalom.